You can feel the madness.
Burns, spin, Burns, he's a cheat code.
What do you do? Go feed, carry, rejected. Quinlan with his fourth block shot.
Inside, wide open, Pringle lays it in, and one.
Defense, they need a stop here. Jones for three.
It's good!
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the D1 and Done pod. Currently presented... Oh, no, by no one. It could have been someone. And the person listening to this right now, you didn't sign the contract.
We have a contract in place, but it has yet to be signed. It will be signed by the three of us tonight, and it will be sent and released to
the third party.
To third party.
Yes.
We have to have our lawyers look over it first.
That's right.
Yes.
This is a very important contract.
So we're giving it to Jake tonight to look over.
Right.
And hopefully it'll be signed and delivered.
Not our Jake, though.
No. Our Jake is our lawyer.
Oh, we're screwed. I
didn't say we were going to win.
We have knockoff Saul Goodman.
We should say thank you to our previous sponsor, Chip Carney and Sid's Bar and Grill. We do want to give a shout out to them and thank you for your patronage. Make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. Make sure you send us your questions via SpeakPipe. It is speakpipe.com/D1andDonePod. You can also email us. It's D1andDonePod@gmail.com. I'm Robby Donahoe, current Final Four participant, sitting alongside Nick Mills and Dusty Mills. How are we feeling, fellas?
Well, I think that's a question for you. I feel great. I'm excited for this weekend. I'm glad I don't have to spend the money that some of you are going to be spending this weekend.
I like that, Dusty. Glass half full that Kentucky's not there. We're not going to spend the money.
Yes.
Good point.
That's right.
Good point.
I can buy Haley and I dinner on the way home tonight.
There you go. Yeah, I'm going to go find something in the dumpster and just eat dinner that way. So just to let you know, my wife and I are going to Phoenix. We've got the plane tickets that were way too expensive. We got the rental car, which was very affordable. We had the Airbnb, which was also very affordable. We do not have the game tickets yet, and that's because the game tickets are out of control expensive. I'm trying to think. Think of like a 6-month lease for a car. It's probably around that.
Can I say what I was just saying to you as well? Because Robby and I were talking about the game tickets. I know there's a lot of kind of back and forth, 50-50 on if it should be played in basketball stadiums or domes.
Right.
I personally love the domes. I think it just makes it a spectacle. And you do have
I agree.
3-4 days to practice and get your, because it's depth perception is the biggest issue with shooters.
Right.
But if you're worried about not being able to see the court in a dome, I've been to 7 Final Fours, and I've sat at the very top of the top. I've sat very close. The Butler-Duke game in 2010. Yeah. I mean, we were right there where Hayward missed that jumper on the sideline. Mm-hmm. You're going to find a good view. Now, if you're in the very back corner of the upper deck, yes, you can come back and say, Dusty, you were wrong. But I promise you, as long as you have eyes, there was not a bad seat in the end.
Right. That's kind of where I am right now, and we're hoping to. So I've got.
I like domes too, by the way.
Kelly, me,
I'm pro dome.
Chip Carney sponsored the show, and Randy Witter. We're all going together, and we're looking forward to the trip. So we have our Final Four ready to roll. It'll tip off on Saturday. Man, we're off to a great start here. It'll be Purdue, NC State starting off at 6:09 p.m. Eastern. And then it will be, that is right, 6:09 p.m. Eastern. Am I right about that?
Usually is, yeah.
Okay. So 6:09 p.m.
I know you're not
Eastern.
used to being the Final Four, Robby, but
I know. I don't understand what it's like.
He's reading a new book.
And then Alabama UConn will tip off at approximately 8:49 p.m. Should mention real quick, so we're going to talk about both games. We'll talk about both all 4 teams. We're going to give our locks. So, wrong one. I need to label those. We'll give our locks for the Final Four as well. Just on quick glance, the Purdue line already down a point. It's down to 8.5. UConn still at 11.5. So interesting there. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means. I don't know if Vegas.
What
knows
do they
something.
know that we don't know?
You're giving me anxiety already. All right. Let's recap that Purdue-Tennessee game one more time and just mention that Tennessee fans still suck. And I don't like them at all. And they're still the worst. And I love Tennessee's basketball team, and I love Rick Barnes. I think they're great. I do not like any part of Tennessee's fan base
what about
whatsoever. Smokey's a very good boy. So I obviously like Smokey. I know people who work at the University of Tennessee, and I like those people. They are very nice, and I think they're great people. I don't like any person that associates themselves with being a fanatic of the University of Tennessee. That's where I am right now because 1, they don't know basketball. 2, they don't know basketball. And 3, their football team still sucks. So,
and don't forget when they had like the number 1 baseball team 2 years ago, they were the most obnoxious team in the whole tournament.
The most unlikable team in the tournament, and they couldn't even make it to Omaha. So,
thank you, Irish.
Thank you for once.
Thanks,
thank you,
Catholics.
Notre Dame, for actually doing something right. So I want to just real quick, we're going to go back to Zach Edey one more time, and just let's let Zach have this moment just one more time. How fired up he was at the end of that game. He got a lot of eyeballs on him for the things that he did in that game, but he had an interview with Evan Washburn at the end of the game where he drops an F-bomb, which we're going to bleep out, but he also is just living in the moment, and I love every second of it.
Zach, an unbelievable performance by this team, but by you specifically. What was your mentality in this game?
They thought they knew us, man. They thought they knew we had in our hearts. I promise you they did. We're winners. That's what we do.
It's what they do. It's what Purdue does. They win.
And what's notable about that is like Zach Edey is like known for being the most stoic person in the world, not showing any emotion.
Right.
And it was cool to see him actually like be the exact opposite for once.
That's what that was the fun part about the end of that game was I think it was finally it was almost as if it was this weight that was lifted off of everyone's shoulders, Matt Painter included, but you could tell just how much it meant to Zach Edey that they accomplished something. Now again, the job's not done. They still have 2 more games to win, but you could see just how much it meant to Zach Edey and this team, giving that big hug to Matt Painter at the end of the game before Painter could shake hands with Rick Barnes. You knew how badly Zach Edey wanted to have this. So, excuse me. One more time, I just want to mention to Tennessee fans, if you're listening to this, which you're probably not, I'm not stopping going in on Tennessee fans. I won't.
I love this so much.
I'm sorry. I'm going in on them. You need to learn what the 3-second rule is. You don't know what it is. So for those who don't know, college basketball has a different 3-second rule than NFHS and the NBA, where you can have 1 foot out of the lane and 1 foot in the lane. When you pick up that foot that's in the lane, that resets the 3-second timer. That is the rule in NCAA college basketball. You can look it up. It exists. So everyone, including Tennessee fans, Illinois fans, Michigan State fans, all those fans say, well, Zach Edey, he camped in the lane in 3 seconds. Learn the freaking rule, you idiots. He's doing it correctly. And that's why Purdue continues to play through this guy, because he can park in the lane because they know the rule and you don't. As Matt Painter has said, basketball is watched by many and understood by few.
This should have just been Robby today. This is great. This is awesome.
He's just being Cowherd or
I would literally
Jim
just-
Rome
no, I was
is
gonna say
burning over
Cowherd.
here.
I'm sick and tired of the uneducated nonsense on social media from Tennessee fans. And there was one tweet from a Tennessee fan that said he's been in the lane for 8 seconds. He picked up his foot and he wasn't in the lane for 8 seconds. That got 3,000 likes. 3,000 people don't know basketball.
In your bowl game against Tennessee, was there some call they complained about?
There
that
was a forward progress
they're
play,
incorrect
which
about,
also
right?
they don't like. Oh, Southern's people supposed to know about football.
Okay, so
From someone who lived in the South for 9 years, okay, I get it, but stay in your lane, Tennessee. You probably should stop trying to beat Purdue because you can't do it and you're not good at it.
all right, well, as your sales guy is trying to be more proactive, I think I'm going to try and get this clip in front of Mad Dog. Because every Wednesday when he's on First Take, he does What's Mad Dog Mad About? And just goes on a rant. That's what we just heard right there.
So
After a win.
yeah, and I am not. I try not to be someone that tries to hate, and I try not to be someone that
join us, Robby.
goes in on something.
Yes.
This is one of those few times where I'm basking in the moment and just telling Tennessee fans to take a hike, lose the number, kick rocks, and enjoy your time in Knoxville. We'll be in Phoenix living it up.
Well, Robby, they're quite used to this. Okay, so
This is what they do. They don't go to Final Fours.
Their
They don't
spring
win
breaks
bowl
already
games.
planned. They knew
don't
that
beat
could be
Purdue.
there. They're good.
They lose to Purdue in volleyball, basketball. What else? In football.
Would you say in your rant like tiddly?
Tiddlywinks.
Tiddlywinks.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. They probably lose to Purdue in Monopoly while they're at it as well. It doesn't matter what game it is. Tennessee's going to lose. And I'm just sick and tired of Tennessee fans online that are being clowns that have no idea what they're talking about. And the last thing I'll talk about is the Zach Edey hate. Like, people hating Zach Edey.
I want to talk about this too.
Okay.
I love him.
I don't understand how you hate him. I don't get it. I do not. Now, you may not like the way Purdue plays. You may think it's not aesthetically pleasing. I disagree wholeheartedly. But I will never understand how you can dislike this guy. It makes no sense to me. It just I can't it does not resonate. I don't get it. Please help me understand.
I would agree. I don't understand how you could hate Zach Edey, the person or the kid, whatever you want to call him. Like, he's, again, we talked about earlier, he's the most stoic, just kind of to himself individual. Yeah. I get why people could hate how he's officiated at times. And I don't even buy all that, because there's times I think it's by like a 2x4 and they don't call it.
They don't call it.
And there's times I roll my eyes at some of the calls he gets, but I say it's hard to officiate him. It is. And so it's not his fault, by the way. He's not the one officiating, So I get, again, and I get why Illinois and Wisconsin, Big Ten, right? If this guy's dropping 32 and 17 on you at night, and he gets some tough calls, but again, he's just hard to officiate. So again, we've not really talked on this pod, but I get why people get mad against officiated. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm surprised some people hate him specifically.
That's like, personally, him doesn't understand. Now, I think ultimately it does even out. I think there's some calls that he doesn't get, and there's some calls he does get. Like in the Gonzaga game, there were 2 fouls that he should have definitely been called for.
Who did he clothesline?
I think it was Ryan Nemhard, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely a foul. But there was other times down the stretch where he got like bear hugged by Anton Watson, and they didn't call that. It all evens out at some point. Now, I'm going to also mention, if you're tired of seeing 7'2" and up players at Purdue, I hate to break it to you, but there's more coming. Because we have a 7'3" guy from Brewster Academy that can shoot threes that's coming in.
Did you just create them in a lab?
Yes. Basically, yes. It's this underground lab that nobody knows about. Brandon Brantley's the only one that has the access to it. He's our big man assistant coach at Purdue.
Well, Kentucky has 3 7-footers, and they are not that good. So clearly we're doing something wrong in our lab. So we need to start talking to you guys.
If I was Kentucky, I would drop like a $30 million bag at Brandon Brantley's doorstep and be like, come coach at Kentucky. You can do whatever you want.
Robby, we have $30 million to do that? We can't even like fire a coach on this coaching staff. Well, come on, Robby. Dusty, you got anything to say about
I want to get your take on the Zach Edey.
Well, first of all, Nick, you said a person or a boy. He's a man, baby. He's a man.
I think I said kid in my defense. Boy sounds so like...
Yes.
Put me on a watch list.
Yeah, you may sound like a young child. He is so much fun to watch. The aesthetically pleasing part is probably true. But I think it's more of just people are sick of him and mad that he's still dominating. I mean, you could put it on.
Is it like the Aaron Kraft treatment where people are just like, tired of seeing him play?
I was thinking like a Christian Leitner.
Yeah.
A Hansbrough type.
Chad Henne at Michigan.
Yeah. I mean,
he was
just
there for
those
20
players,
years.
And it's jealousy more than anything.
Sure.
I just love how I brought this up now. I think this is the third time I brought this up. I talked about the quote about I didn't come back to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
This guy wants this more than anyone else. And that is why we'll do picks later, but I'll just tell you right now, Purdue's going to win the title.
Oh!
I mean, they are. He is on a mission. And when you're a competitor and you have that mindset, you're going to walk on the floor every time and say, you're not going to effing beat me. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. And when you're that size to add to that, I know I'm not trying to get you too excited. Because you're going to
well, to be fair, you've had some bad picks this tournament, so this might be a bad omen.
I just picked against UConn every game. That's pretty much it.
He said at the beginning of our pod.
Touche.
Episode 2, Purdue's going to make the Final Four.
I was hard on Brown and Purdue from day one, so just keep that in mind. And
yes.
And Brown was under 500, got to the Ivy League title. Should have won,
yes.
And Purdue, it's not even about Purdue. It's the Zach Edey effect, and then Lance is going to make everyone dance in Phoenix.
Love it. There's a video circulating of Zach Edey on someone's like Instagram story where he says, "I have a blank." That's me right now when you said that Purdue's going to win the title. So if you don't know what I'm referring to, just go ahead and look it up. You know what I mean.
Real quick about the 3-second thing. Oscar Sheboy did live in the paint for 27 seconds. I don't know how he never got called for 3 seconds, but just want to throw out there.
Now, are there times where Zach Edey parks in the lane and probably should be called for 3 seconds? It does
and also,
happen.
too,
yes.
how many 3 seconds get called per year in college basketball or in NBA?
That's what I was going to say. Real quick on 3-second calls.
I can't tell you the last time I saw 3 second get called anywhere.
When we're at the SEC tournament is the most I'm ever like watching the whole floor, or I haven't been to another game in person in a while because of horrible people having weddings at bad times.
Stop fall weddings.
But the 3-second rule is
and April weddings and March weddings.
Stop weddings.
But the
it's a scam. Monogamy is a scam, people.
From Single Nick.
Yeah.
The 3-second rule is like holding in football. You could call it all the time, like probably on every single play. There's so many.
Kind of.
Go watch a game and just watch the paint and see how often someone is just in the lane for 4 or 5 seconds, but they don't want to call it.
I get what you're saying. I just think
as
the
long as
holding call is the most common call. I'm just saying 3 seconds never gets called.
Maybe pass interference would be a little bit more.
Sorry, I lost this.
No. I don't. I think
I get your point.
Your premise makes sense.
You could call it all the time.
Yes, it does make sense where you're coming from. I want to run back to the point where you mentioned Zach Edey says, I didn't come back for a Sweet 16. I come back for a Final Four and win a national championship. Mason Gillis had that same comment after the game when they made it to the Final Four. I want to play that too because it's on point for Mason Gillis.
I think we can keep sitting there, honestly. We haven't finished the job. The job is to win the national championship. It's amazing to get to the Final Four. I don't want to ever try and talk that down. I'm not at all. But, we have more work to do. The tournament's not over. So,
Tournament's not over. We have more work to do. I mean, they're still here to win a national championship. They're going to enjoy and celebrate the Final Four, but this run is not over. They aim to win this whole thing, and they're excited about it. So one last thing I want to recap from the game, and this was one that, honestly, it did make me weep a little. So Robby Hummel is a guy that Dusty and I played against when we were growing up in grade school basketball, middle school basketball, guy from Valparaiso, Indiana, one of the all-time best Purdue basketball players in history. And again, those knee injuries took away an opportunity for him to go to a Final Four. And he was on the radio broadcast with Kevin Kugler, Westwood One, and it was so, it made my heart just burn with desire for him to enjoy that moment. And so this is a little long; it's a little over 2 minutes, but I want you to listen to it. I want you to enjoy it, and also the fact that Robby Hummel got to bask in the fact that he finally got to see Purdue go to a Final Four and so many others. So just take a listen to this.
For the first time in 44 years, the Final Four includes Purdue. 72-66 the final. As assistant coach Paul Lusk comes over to the side and embraces Robby Hummel, Purdue alum, and the emotions are evident. Tears in the stands. And Robby, I include you in this. The emotions are evident for everybody who was a part of this program, and I see them on your face. You're the ultimate pro. You know what to do when we're on the air.
Yeah.
But this is one that Coach Painter was your coach?
No.
I mean, what does this mean to you?
I'm trying not to cry. And seeing Paul
You're failing
Lusk,
miserably.
I know the tears are coming down. It's just been so many opportunities, whether it's the way that my knee situation happened, where we had a team that could go to the Final Four, but this is a long time coming. Matt Painter is one of the elite coaches in college basketball, and he deserves this, man. He recruits, he works hard. Man, I'm going to cry right now. I cannot believe that this has finally happened.
And the head coach of the Boilermakers is with us courtside. One of the things, Coach Painter, thank you for coming over. One of the things that I see when I see the two of you shake hands is the emotion.
Yeah.
It's not just about this Purdue team. It's about guys who played at Purdue. You,
no doubt.
Robby, everybody over the last 44 years that's tried to get to this moment, and you've finally been able to break through.
Yeah, I don't know if I deserve this, but I know he does. And when you start a program and your facilities aren't very good and you get guys to come to you and commit to you,
And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have lasted 5-6 years. And to be able to get to this and what he had to go through with his injury, and it was tough. But I know this, there's not a great coach out there without great players. And each one more, and Robby Hummel and Juwan Johnson chose me and chose Purdue, and we hadn't done and I'll never forget that.
You've got to go get on the stage with your current team. We'll talk more later.
Yeah, and Coach, congrats. I know I don't need to say this, but we are so proud that you're our coach, man. You are the best.
Thank you. Thank you. It means everything. Thank you.
So
whoa. Who are these potty mouths at Purdue?
Good point.
Gosh.
Good point.
It's happening a lot.
Cocky engineers.
So, and I know how difficult it was for Robby because he's the ultimate professional.
You're not talking in third person, are you?
Robby Hummel.
Okay,
Robby Hummel's the ultimate professional. This was tough for him to take in because as much as this Final Four...
He wanted to be the one that did it.
Yeah, he did. And as much as this Final Four was for this team, this Final Four is also for all the previous players that came before this team, all the coaches, the people who put the time, energy, and effort. It's also for all the alums and fans of Purdue University. There are very few people out there in this world that are fans of Purdue that did not go to Purdue. And that's one of the special parts about this program and this university is, you choose Purdue. Unfortunately, Purdue sometimes doesn't choose you, and you have to choose that frustration, that misery, that almost hopeless feeling of not making it and not winning big games. And now we're here. Robby Hummel mentioned, last thing I'll mention with this, on the field of 68 when he was doing that radio interview, that Juwan Johnson FaceTimed him as he was talking to Coach Painter.
That's awesome.
And Juwan Johnson's playing over in Israel right now. And I know he and Smooge.
Another player Robby and I grew up playing against.
Absolutely. So, and that's part of the reason why I have such a close connection to Rob and to what's everything that's happening is we grew up playing against these guys. We grew up beating these guys.
Yeah.
We beat Robby Hummel's Valpo teams.
Multiple times.
One of my favorite stories forever, and I will take this to my grave, is my sophomore year. They were signing autographs on the posters for the entire paint crew. And I walked up to Robby Hummel and I said, "Hey Rob, you remember me?" And he's like, "Robbie Donahoe, how's it going?" And in that moment I was like, holy crap, he actually remembers who I am. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if you remember that time we beat you in 8th grade Super Hoops. And Chris Kramer leaned over next to Rob and said, "That guy beat you in Super Hoops?" I was like, yeah, I did. We did. So that's just...
We did, and they were a force that
they
year.
They were so
and
good
we beat them in
time.
overtime. So just to give you guys an idea, basically the top 12 teams went to the state final and was played at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is so cool. We were playing them in the quarterfinals, and they
were heavily favored. Everyone thought they were going to win it all.
Well, that was my point. Is they actually
with the odds makers?
Well, seriously though, Nick, they had their big man. I can't remember his name.
It was Nate Windsor.
Thank you.
He's still friends with Rob, and
so
checks
missed a half court shot at the buzzer that would have beaten us,
right?
And the place went crazy. And I don't mean the Noblesville parents and
no,
friends.
It was everyone that was there.
It was every other team went nuts because no one thought
we don't have to play them anymore because Noblesville beat them, and then we lose to Center Grove,
and then of course we lost in the semis.
And we lost in the semis, and then we lost to Center Grove and Tyler Kitchell.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a good point about Purdue, though. I never thought about that. If you did not go there, you're probably not a fan of them.
No, you're not.
That's why most of their fans are dudes. Then.
Is that why you're still single?
Can you hit the little thing over there, Robby? Do I get? Hey, thank you.
There you go. I'll give it to you.
I am still single, ladies. By the way, hit me up.
Great. So. I had a lot that I wanted to recap as I listened and thought back to everything that happened from the podcast and my little rant that I had about Tennessee and Tiddlywinks. So I just had to get that all squared away. And again, nothing against Tennessee, but I'm sorry, just Purdue, we're just better than you guys. Just deal with it. So let's talk about the Purdue NC State game because it is a fascinating matchup. I think it's kind of a combination of how does NC State hang with Zach Edey, and how does Purdue guard DJ Burns? I think those are kind of the two biggest things. Now, I've got a couple ideas, but I want to hear from Nick. I'll start with you. What do you think of the matchup? How are both teams going to handle playing against each other?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, kind of big picture, is Robbie, when you picture Purdue going to a Final Four, you probably thought it'd be more. They'd be like the underdogs, right?
The 4 seed making a run,
or like they'd be like America's sweetheart, right? Where this instance, all of a sudden, you're like, again, Zach Edey is a polarizing player to a lot of people,
right?
And they're playing America's team all of a sudden. Like a lot of America's can be rooting for NC State and DJ Burns, and that's the other part of this is like I imagine Zach Edey and DJ Burns. It's probably not a lot of times in their life they've been around someone that's like close to them in mass.
Right.
Like it's just gonna be very fascinating. Again, that's probably what everyone's gonna talk about. But again, to me that's the whole story. Like DJ Burns and Zach Edey and I think you mentioned on the hey Robby, I'm talking over here. So keep down.
My apologies. Sorry, there was a car that just came through our entire apartment that was honking at me.
But I think you mentioned on our Sunday show that you don't necessarily think they'll be guarding each other, or
at times I think they will, but I don't think they're going to start on each other. Now, probably, and I don't know if NC State fans realize this. DJ Burns started his college career at Tennessee,
which I did not know till 2 days ago.
So automatically that should be a red flag for any NC State fan because of what Purdue just did to Tennessee. I'm sorry, it all comes back to Tennessee,
guys. You think Tennessee's going to claim this Final Four?
Well,
hang the banner.
There's no other way for them to get one right now, so it's got to be this.
By the way, they used to hang NIT Final Four banners until Twitter bullied them out of it. So shout out to, or I guess X now.
I did not know.
Shout out Elon. There you go.
That's funny. What do you think Purdue needs to do against NC State? What does NC State need to do against Purdue?
First of all, very cool. That's two teams that have not been in the Final Four since Purdue 1980 and NC State's 86.
I think Valvano's the last four. So 83.
83,
okay. I believe. Yeah, because 86 they made the Elite Eight but didn't make the Final
So
Four.
that's probably why ticket prices are so high. Is you have these two fan bases. I'm not even trying to be funny.
No.
These two fan bases are like, oh my gosh, we have to go.
This could be once in a while.
And then UConn fans are, they're trying to repeat, so they're all going to go too.
UConn's got a great,
and
UConn will travel too.
Bama's first time in tournaments. Like to that point, a lot of
and Bama actually does have a good basketball following. That many people would.
It's taken a bit to get there, but yes, they do for sure.
I would say they show up pretty good at the SEC tournament. Is the only way I would.
They've gotten better. It used to not be very.
I know.
Well, compared to a lot of the rest of the SEC fans, they're decent.
Correct. There are some horrible fan bases there.
I've seen 2 South Carolina fans in all years.
I was going to say in 06.
Or Missouri fans. I don't see any Missouri fans there.
In 06, that's actually your Florida won the national title. South Carolina won the NIT in the same year. They played in the SEC championship that year. And I'm telling you, that stadium, literally South Carolina's cheering section was just the parents. It was like the St. Peter's thing of just the mascot.
Which is funny.
Yeah. And they were going insane. Florida did beat them, but...
Which is funny. Again, last time the Final Four was in Phoenix, I was there. South Carolina was there, too. They packed the joint. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, they were everywhere.
Well, I think they benefited from the fact they played those first and second round games in Greenville, South Carolina, and kind of got a little momentum from that. Then they beat Duke while they were there.
Fans fall in love with the
kind of fall in love. They followed them there. Yeah.
Shout out Sindarius Thornwell, by the way. My guy, PJ Dozier.
I love that team.
Same.
So I'm going to give you a very lazy answer about this game. I think Purdue should and will dictate the game. I don't think they need to focus on anything. Yeah. I mean, if that means go let DJ Burns do his thing, then allow it. I think it comes down to how Smith plays. He's played so confident, so well in this tournament. I mentioned the other night how he's not even looking to score, but not in a bad way, but he's just controlling the entire floor, the tempo of the game. So I think he's the X factor. And if he can do that, and then Lance will make her dance, can give me, I don't know, 16 points or something like that. I think Purdue wins. I think they cover. I think it's going to be a close game in the first half. That's what I'm guessing right now.
I agree. That's usually how it goes.
I'm even going to say NC State's up 3.5 right now. And I think Purdue wins by 11.
Okay, that's fair.
Can I just say, too, so again, I believe you mentioned on our last pod, it's the 6-11 seed in the Final Four.
6-11 seed in the Final Four,
Pretty much a lot of them got smoked, by the way. Like George Mason got taken to the woodshed by Florida. VCU kind of got controlled by Butler. I'm trying to think. UCLA actually gave Gonzaga a game.
They did.
And then who's the other one missing? Michigan led the whole game.
Loyola, yeah. I want to. How prophetic is this? So it kind of could go both ways. It's funny that Purdue makes the Final Four and now they have to play a double-digit seed. How funny would it be that they would lose to a double-digit seed in the Final Four? But that's the first thing. Second thing is, how funny is it that it comes back to an 11 seed? Because when it started, Purdue, this whole double-digit seed run where they keep losing double-digit seeds, it started with an 11 seed, VCU, that made the Final Four. How wild is this, how it's all coming full circle with this entire situation?
It just shows Purdue, they're slaying all their demons, or dragons,
somehow.
Robbie.
Somehow. I
if they do
how.
lose, that just...
And again, I will say it one more time. I expect to win. I want us to win. If we lose, it's going to suck. But at the same time, that means an 11 seed and NC State is going to the national championship.
Which would be awesome.
Which would be so cool and so great. Yes, it would suck. But at the same time, I have to take a step back and be like, man, that's really cool.
I have a question because I have a quick story to tell.
Okay.
If they lose, do you come home?
I'm coming home regardless. We're not staying for the national.
You did tell me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We're not staying for the national championship. I
have a quick funny story that got resurfaced this weekend when I was in Florida. So in 1992, I think it was, when Michigan beat Kentucky in the Final Four of the Fab Five.
93.
93, thank you. Off on my years right now. Sorry, once again, jet lag, flying from Eastern time zone to Eastern time zone.
Naturally.
But my belated grandfather and my dad, his dad obviously, went to that Final Four in New Orleans, and they made an agreement, hey, no matter what happens with Kentucky, that was like the Jamal Mashburn team.
Oh, yeah.
We're staying the whole time. We're going to embrace the Final Four. We're going to enjoy the entire weekend. Kentucky loses that 6-09 game, the first game.
Oh, gosh.
And apparently my grandpa turns to my dad, and you're going to have to edit this out because I have to say the quote.
That's fine.
He goes, let's get the out of here. And they walked to their car, canceled their hotel, and drove back to Indianapolis.
They say this thing like they booked the whole weekend. Win or lose, we're playing golf Sunday. Yeah. We have these dinner plans.
They got in the car and left.
Which is the most sports fan thing ever, right? You're like, win or lose.
That's also so much your dad's dad. Like,
yeah.
I could see him saying that and doing that completely. So that's...
Who also, just so you guys know, another funny thing, he died on Good Friday in 2010, the weekend before Duke won the national title, and we just assumed that he didn't want to see Duke win another national title.
He watched Joe Mazzulla beat Kentucky. He says, screw this.
I'm done.
I'm out.
Get me off the earth.
I still can't believe that game. I will never understand that game for the life of me.
Can I just do a summer pod on that game?
You could.
I might. We might just need to do a therapy.
I want a summer pod on Kentucky disappointing losses.
I mean, you could throw the Purdue disappointing losses in there.
Yeah,
so we have two of our summer pods already ready to go.
I mean, we're already Eskimo brothers when it comes to St. Peter's. So
those peacocks.
Oh God, that's a great point. All right, I like Purdue too. I will say, I think Purdue is going to run, and they're going to try to put DJ Burns into a track meet because you could tell in that Duke game he was getting tired. And he was, sucking wind, kind of having some issues keeping up. Zach Edey played 39 minutes in that Tennessee game, and he did not look tired at all.
He did not until those final free throws.
Correct.
I thought that was when
I agree.
I was like, okay, this game cannot go into overtime.
I agree.
He's struggling.
But now you have a full week.
But they came back with that amazing block.
Correct, yes. So now you have a full week for him to rest and get ready for this. He's probably going to play 35, 36 minutes, I would imagine. And unless something happens where they can give him some more time to rest, or maybe if he gets into foul trouble or whatnot, whatever that may be. But I think Purdue's going to run a ton to try to get DJ Burns up and down and get him worn out, if I had to guess. I think the key for NC State to win this game is going to be what Jaden Taylor and what Middlebrooks can bring to them off the bench. Because Edey's going to get Diarra or Burns, one of them in foul trouble. It always happens. It's going to happen. That's just what he does. If Middlebrooks can come off the bench and give them significant minutes and find a way to kind of stymie Zach Edey a little bit, that's how NC State's going to have a chance.
Yeah, real quick, we're not really talking NC State themselves quite yet. Again, I just want to reemphasize, their run they're on is insane. We mentioned
unprecedented.
Go back and watch that Virginia game again in the ACC tournament. They should have lost. And again, that's not like an objective opinion. Like, it's a miracle they won that basketball game in so many different ways. So I just want to shout them out again for that. You could argue of all 11 seeds, this is the craziest run. But we've not mentioned his name yet. DJ Horn, I think, is the X factor in this game.
On the NC State side.
NC State. If you get like a 30-point game from him, that is like the one like horrifying thing.
Well, he hit that 4-point play early in the Duke game, right?
Yeah, he did.
And there was a look on his face, and he just was nine to the bench and basically just saying, "Give me the effing ball." Like I'm ready to go. So yes, that could be one thing to be scared about. But I think Braden Smith is someone who probably will guard him.
I would imagine.
You think otherwise?
Honestly, probably Lance Jones.
Okay.
So,
Lance Jones versus DJ Horn. Give it to me.
Like Lance, his defense has somehow gotten better this year,
yes.
Which is like the way he fights through screens and keeps guys in front of him on off the bounds is just amazing. Now, I think if Matt Painter had a do-over, he would not start Braden Smith on Dalton Connect. That did not go well. It got him going really quickly. But ultimately, like they tried moving some things around, and I think that. But I would imagine that you'll probably have Lance Jones starting on DJ Horn if I had to guess. And I would imagine Casey Morcell's probably going to start on Braden Smith.
Yeah.
Because Morcell needs to be the guy to kind of slow him down. So Fletcher Lawyer, if he has a big game, then all bets are off with that line. Because if Fletch is making threes, then you're in big trouble.
By the way, we mentioned how people don't like Edey. I find Fletcher Lawyer. I'm sure he's a good kid. He's the most.
I would say that's
if you don't
annoying.
The pesky annoying guy in the team.
If you don't like Fletcher Lawyer, I understand that.
Right.
He definitely does have that hate energy to him. That one I get. I don't understand.
I am once again saying, as a non-Purdue fan, pulling for them for my friends, if you do not like Zach Edey, I truly do not like you. Come at me. All right, game picks.
Purdue.
Bye. Do they cover?
Yeah, I think they cover. If it's down to 8.5 now. I think they cover.
Yeah, I said Purdue 11.
Yeah, again, I feel like 11 seeds in Final Four. This is where they always run out of steam. Give me Purdue cover. My lock is in this game.
Oh.
This is always my favorite bet in the Final Four every year. First half under in the very first game. So first half under this game, is
what's the number at?
I have no idea. I should have got that number
you should have
before.
mentioned it.
Well, to be fair, right before the show started, you said, "Oh, we got to do locks." So I forgot to look up the number. It's my favorite thing of year. Again, it's early in the day. The crowd's still settling in a little bit. You're not used to playing a football stadium. First half under. Give it to me.
So I will. Let me see if I can. Why don't you look it up? Because I know what mine is, and I can tell you that one. Right now, Zach Edey is at 20. His over/under for points is 25.5. Go way over. I think he gets 30, and I think Purdue wins. I think Purdue wins by 9. So that's why that 8.5, 9.5 is kind of interesting that it dropped to 8.5 because I think they're going to win by 9. 76-67 is kind of what I'm landing on right now. So that's where my lock is, and that's where we are with Purdue. Nick?
Under 68.5 points the first half. Give it to me.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first game.
Football stadium.
I'm with you.
The sun's still shining through the... I don't know. They have a window like that.
They don't really have windows at State Farm.
It's still light outside. Okay,
Agreed,
so.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of first games, right now at halftime, Utah, Indiana State tied at 44.
Ooh, good game. They're playing that game in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Should mention Indiana State, the only team in college basketball this year that made 400 threes.
Amazing.
And not good enough to be in the tournament.
But Virginia is.
But Virginia. Thank goodness Virginia is. All right. How many threes does Alabama need to make to beat UConn? So let me give you some reference to this, okay? Alabama made 19 threes against Purdue and still lost up in Toronto back in, I think it was in December.
And how many in the first half? They made
12?
Yeah, safely in double digits.
So if they can't beat Purdue making 19 threes, do they need to make over 20 to beat UConn?
14. Direct answer.
I cannot believe I literally said so on the way here. I was listening to a podcast that was talking about how many threes does Alabama need to make. I was like, they probably need to make 14. I said the same thing.
No kidding.
I said 14 as well.
14 threes is where I'm putting it at.
I think.
For reference, they made 11 against North Carolina and 16 against Clemson.
You know what's going to be the coolest part about this game? So my favorite 30 for 30 I've ever watched is the Guru of Go about Loyola Marymount and 91. That's when
the Loyola, yeah.
With
that sounds right.
Paul Westhead was the coach. Used to coach for the Lakers as well. That was the team. Famously had Bo Kimball and
Hank Gathers.
Gathers, who unfortunately passed away on the court in the middle of a game, and then they just let it fly. And I'm guessing if you're Nate Oates, he was on College Game Day on Sunday.
Shoot it 50 times if you want to.
And he was talking about how he was trying to strategize, how do they defend so well. And I was reading kind of, I don't know, as someone who used to coach, I was kind of reading his demeanor.
Wow, Coach Whisperer. I love this. I like.
Okay, here you go then. Hey, Nate. Just let it fly, baby. Tell them to let it fly. I think they are just going to be scorching. They may take 55 threes.
I was going to say, over under how many threes do they take? 45 and a half. Are they over 45 and a half?
I seriously would say over.
And they took 36 against Clemson, just for the record.
Because their thing is, to me, against UConn, you just have to get out and run. Just run.
But that's the other part is UConn was scary when they ran against Illinois.
I know, but
I know what you mean.
But if they're on their heels, that's the biggest. I mean, UConn's the better team by far. Was it like a 12-point spread?
It's 11.5 right now.
That's absurd for a 4 seed.
Yeah.
I'd get out and I'd just run. And thankfully, you have Pringles playing so well. Stevenson's playing so well.
Yeah.
Spears obviously is the heart and soul of that team.
I think that's the matchup is I would assume Tristan Newton's going to guard Mark Sears.
Yeah.
That's the matchup that's going to dictate this game. Donovan Clingan will probably get 16 and 8 around that mark, I think.
Does his thing.
He'll do his thing.
I wouldn't even be
and
worried about
I don't, if I'm Alabama, I don't worry about him, and I don't think they will. I think ultimately it's going to be, can they push UConn off the 3-point line?
Spencer,
and
that's going to be a big one.
Cam Spencer, Steph Castle, can they push him off the 3-point line and push him into all of that athletic size that's guarding the rim?
And again, we've said this about Bama, or I have. They're like Kentucky. They can beat anyone. They can lose to anyone. They absolutely can beat UConn. We'll get to picks, but
they definitely can.
They can, absolutely. And if they get hot early, that's going to be the biggest thing. UConn has not had to face that type of adversity in a while. How do they respond to a team getting up on them 12-4 or something?
Yeah, to that point, when they've lost this year, too, they've kind of gotten blown out. I mean, Seton Hall blew them out. Creighton blew them out.
Yeah.
I mean, how many single-digit games did they play?
Kansas was the other one, right?
Yeah, Kansas won close game.
Mm-hmm.
Is it funny about Bama? Like, they are really like the forgotten team that's Final Four, right? Because again, NC State's the miracle team. UConn's going for back-to-back. Purdue's like maybe the story of the tournament. And then there's kind of Alabama sitting there.
Right.
I think that's kind of like, I can't really remember anything like this because I feel like I guess there's a storyline. It's their first Final Four in school history, but still, like, no one's really talking about them. I think that's
scary.
It's a nice little spot for them.
It's scary. I think it's so interesting that Alabama is playing UConn because this UConn basketball team reminds me so much of Alabama's football team under Nick Saban. They're so disciplined. They're so focused. They know their jobs. They know exactly what they're doing. Alabama's football team is the exact same way. They never get off their line. They know their jobs. They know what they're supposed to do. They're focused. They're intense. They're relentless. It's weird. It's just eerie to see that this UConn basketball team is playing Alabama in this moment.
Does Nate Oates remind you of Randy Edsel at all? UConn football coach?
No, he does not.
Or is it Jim Mora now?
Yeah, Jim Mora is at UConn now. Yeah, that's right.
Jim Mora Sr.
Oh my gosh.
But no, Robby, like that's again we really have not hit on UConn too much on this pod. Again, like you said, like
how do you hate on this team? They keep beating everyone by a billion.
A billion. And again, they hit 3 threes in their last game.
I hate on them.
And they just suffocate you.
Sorry, I just hate them.
And they beat you so. No, don't get me wrong. I cannot stand. Like as a Kentucky fan,
if they won their 6th national talent since 1999, I am going to jump out this window right here that I'm pointing at.
Dude,
and by the way, if Dan Hurley gets another one here, I mean, what with all the coaches retiring, does he have the belt?
Like, he's like the face. He's the face of college basketball
right now. He definitely is, and that's another question I want to bring up. Is he's so abrasive yet also so likable? He's such a weird, dichotomy of emotions and actions.
I'll say it. He drives me insane a little bit, but I think he's still likable. I think it just feels authentic, right? It does not feel forced. It feels like that's
very genuine. Yes,
it's very genuine. His players feel that, and I think he tells his players, "Look, we're going to be good, and I'm going to rip your plenty of times, but I'm doing it because I care about you, and I want us to be the best that we can be." I mean, he knows what he's doing.
And some of the best coaches from even some of the best high school and college coaches that I was around in football down in the South, they were almost like they had dual personalities. When they were on the field and in the game, it's like they were a different person. And then when you talk to them outside of game, they were like the nicest and most likable person in the world. The perfect example of that is if you've ever seen Last Chance U about the EMCC, the football team down there, Buddy Stevens, who's the head coach there, when he was in a football game, it was like I didn't recognize who he was. But when I got him outside of football, he and I would crack jokes with one another. We'd talk all the time. He was so likable and so easygoing. That's kind of how I feel like Dan Hurley is when he's in the game, he's like just a fireball. But when he's talking to a freaking Colin Cowherd, it's like, wow, this guy's really likable, really cool.
So they're all just, schizophrenic?
That's what I was going to say. Do they have dual personality syndrome? I don't know, but it kind of feels like that.
Is Hugh Freeze like that too?
I'm not going to answer that. I don't think I can answer that. Dan Mullen was very, very much like that, though.
I have a question for Dusty. As you mentioned on the pod before, you were a former Florida fan. Should be noted the last team to repeat is Florida. Are you rooting against UConn at all for that reason?
Good question. Well, producer Jake's still a Florida fan. I wonder how he's feeling.
Such a good. Oh, he's on a call right now.
Yeah.
Not that reason. I will say that. I personally hate UConn. It's just bitterness. I cannot believe Kentucky doesn't have 6 titles since '99. Honestly, but that is part of it too, because there is something. Because I was a die hard Florida fan.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers at our high school. I mean, I would warm up at our high school games wearing an Anthony Roberson jersey. Was my
I had an Ohio State shooting shirt I always used to wear. So
you went to the 2014 Final Four solo for Florida, not Kentucky. They were both there.
I left and didn't even see the Kentucky-Wisconsin game.
He did not see the Aaron Harrison shot.
I was crying at a Hooters. I'm not even kidding.
This was after you played at Kentucky.
Remember, we've talked, and we'll talk more this summer, but I went through a weird stage of loving, hating college basketball. And Florida was kind of like my glue that kept me to it. But those moments with those back-to-back titles and that team coming back, that's the thing that's going to make me bitter about UConn, is bringing in a whole new team. If they brought back the same squad and did something like that, I think that's what Duke did as well when they went back-to-back in the early 90s. Most of those UCLA teams were, same squad. There's some type of how the hell do you do this? So
I don't know.
Those 2 years for Florida is the most special thing, I think, ever. So, yes, I think
with the football title
during
it as well.
Yeah, the football title right in between.
Isn't that crazy? Again, our fans would not know this. 07, you're a Ohio State fan, you're a Florida fan, you guys are going at it.
Both die hard.
And now look at you guys.
And I couldn't say a thing to him because Ohio State kept, whether it was Troy Smith losing that dumb national
think about that too.
game.
Florida beat Ohio State in both those championships, basketball and football.
That was brutal. How did I survive that? My gosh.
It was just preparing you for the Purdue struggles. But now we're here, though, Robby.
I'll leave it with this. If UConn wins the national championship, I think we can all agree, even as Kentucky fans, that Kentucky is the best program in college basketball historically. Maybe next to UCLA.
I just want to say 8 titles with 5 different coaches. Very proud of that.
If UConn wins another national championship, that's 2 in a row. And again, you mentioned, was it 7 since 99 or 6 since 99?
This would be the 6th.
Are they the greatest program in college basketball? All time.
In the last 25 years, it's undisputably.
I'm saying all time.
I don't think all time.
Okay.
I do think going back to first national title was 1939, right, when Oregon won.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something said you can't just dismiss the first from 39-2000. I mean, if we played that game, the Yankees are a very mediocre baseball team, right?
Well, they are anyway.
Swept the Astros over the weekend. So, no, I don't think the best of all time, but they're above IU. They're above Louisville.
Above Kansas?
You can get that noise out of there. I would say borderline I would put them up with Kansas. Kansas winning that title 2 years ago, I think, counts.
That was big, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's interesting because my whole life.
We're not mentioning North Carolina either.
No,
they're in there too.
Below North Carolina.
Okay.
And I think having Jordan
puts UCLA, Kentucky, North Carolina, you'd say probably your top 3. And
Duke. I'd put Duke
up there. So UConn with the national championship is probably top 5 then.
See, because now we're forgetting UCLA.
I said UCLA.
Oh, you did. Sorry,
UCLA.
sorry.
I would say UCLA 1, Kentucky 2, North Carolina
I have a
3.
problem with UCLA. I really do. They have won national championship since 1973. Yeah. That's just you won 10 titles in 12 years.
They are the Yankees.
Yeah, you see Yankees have an 09 title.
I know. I'm just saying they had a because if you go look at the Yankees World Series championships, it is hilarious to watch. From 1930 to 1965, I want to say, it was them every single
20 years of winning.
And that's what UCLA did in a smaller sample size. Have only won since 95 is when they beat Arkansas.
So John Wooden won 1975. They have won national championship since then.
Yeah, but you can't.
But then going to a Final Four in 2020 helped a lot. I thought.
Well, there was 3 straight Final Fours, and then
with
the
Ben
2020.
Howland. That's right. 05, 06, 07. Yeah, or 06, 07, 08.
But you can't dismiss that amazing era. I mean, and John Wooden, obviously, but. Yes. Say your list again real quick. UCLA, Kentucky.
UCLA, Kentucky, North Carolina would be my top 3. Duke 4, probably UConn 5, and Kansas 6.
If UConn wins this title, they're 5.
I would say
right now it's Kansas 5. Here you go.
Yeah, I've always said my 4 blue bloods. I've always been staunch on this: Duke, UNC, Kentucky, Kansas. And then I think UConn probably might be in that conversation now, but this would.
I think they are definitely in the conversation.
They're at 5 right now, which is tied with IU and UNC. No, with Duke. IU and Duke are both at 5. If they get this, they're at 6. All of a sudden, they're tied for 3rd all time with UNC. And
it's crazy because they didn't start winning since '99.
We've mentioned this would be this is their 7th Final Four.
Crazy.
They were so lovable like 20 years ago.
The Kalad Elamine team that won in the 99 was so great.
Beat Duke, who at the time was a huge
massive favorite.
Obviously still going, but yeah.
Well, they stole 2 titles in 11 and 14 is really what really helped them.
Those
correct.
The 14 one.
And they still have the amazing Rip Hamilton call.
Oh, Hamilton, no!
In 1990, which they didn't win that was 98, I believe.
Shad McDonough on the call for that one. That always cracks his voice every time he hits a big mention or big moment.
And shout out to Beat for being the one guy at UConn to lose in a Final Four.
Get the ball to the Beat! UCLA 11, Kentucky 8, North Carolina 6, Duke 5, IU 5, UConn 5. So if UConn wins this one, they're in elite company with the other 3 best programs in college basketball.
Which is crazy. Kansas was sitting on 3 for until a couple years ago.
Until 2008.
Which, again, just shows all of this, how freaking hard it is to win a national championship.
It's massively difficult. All right. We got a few more things that we want to
run. Are we giving our picks?
Oh, yeah, game picks.
I was going to say, I'm taking UConn. I think they cover. I really do. I'm rooting for Alabama, but I think UConn wins. I think they cover. By the way, do you have your lock? What's your lock?
Oh, shoot.
Did you write it down?
Can I not just say Purdue wins the national title?
Is that your lock?
My lock is...
that would be Purdue money line in both games.
Yeah, Purdue, no. Well, only one lock.
I'm waiting.
Purdue, money line, Monday night.
All right. You said it.
And then...
Wait, real quick, read your lock.
You already did.
Oh, yeah, so sorry. Your game pick.
Are you making...
No, I was going to ask Robby a question. Give your game pick first.
Yeah, I'm done picking against UConn. I'm same with you, Robby. I'll be shooting for Alabama, but I got to stop picking against UConn.
It's going to be a great game, I think.
Which we noted, too, the Final Four is like when a Kentucky undefeated lost, when undefeated ULV lost. This has been like the tricky little spot for certain historic teams.
That's right.
I think if Bama can get a lead early, they have a chance to truly run away with it, but I do think UConn... I don't think they'll get a lead early, so I'm going to say UConn by 6.
One last thing I want to say about this game, Nick Pringle is the X factor. If he can disrupt Klingon at all, that would. If he could do anything he did in Elite 8, that is.
Bama's got a ton of fouls to throw at Klingon. Whether it's Wage, Pringle, Stevenson could even go in there too a little bit. Nelson, if you want to, and that I think is the even bigger matchup. Alex Karaban, I think, has gotten away with the fact that whoever's he's been guarding at the 4 has not been a threat to shoot from the outside at all this tournament. Now you're facing a dude that can step out and also play back to the basket. Again, they say he's 6'8" on the roster. I think he's closer to 6'5". Grant Nelson's a proper 6'9".
He's a Barkley.
Yes. In a sense, yes. So I think that's the matchup, is Grant Nelson versus Alex Karaban.
So my quick question for you, and then we'll move on. Because I know we're kind of running on time as well.
We're good.
What where will you watch the game Monday? If Purdue's playing,
knock on wood.
I know.
Everyone knock on wood.
If Purdue's playing, just curious.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. Probably just at home because I got to teach on Tuesday. That's our first day back from spring break, so I will probably be at home watching it with my wife.
Okay, we'll bring some takeout Hooters then.
Okay.
We have Eclipse on Monday. I think to be safe, we should cancel school on Tuesday. That's a lot of traffic coming in. The eyes might be burning a little bit. So
I agree.
Just something to think about Brownsburg or certain school.
At this point, it's fine. It's whatever at this point. All right.
So, you can cut this out too. Sorry if your teacher's a little butt. You're probably gonna put it on a movie Tuesday, right? In class?
We're back to work on Tuesday. We got stuff to do.
No, but the thing I heard from certain Noblesville teachers back in the day is if they came in hungover the next day, that's when you would be watching a movie in class. Because they would just go back to their desks and just sit there and chug water.
It never occurred to me that now, for some reason now it just...
I've had multiple teachers from Noblesville tell me that.
I can confirm I've never gone to school hungover. I've always been at my best.
Drink responsibly.
Loser.
My students deserve me at my best, and they will always have me that way. Now, if Purdue loses Monday night, maybe I won't be at my best. I'll maybe have my 50-60% game, but I will be there, and I'll be ready to go.
He's going to be fired for bringing the ruler and beating a kid.
Go full none on him.
Not doing that. All right, before we jump into coaching news transfer portal, I want to get your thoughts real quick on the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese game, because obviously that's the talking point that really dominated college basketball, not just women's college hoops, but college basketball in general. Caitlin Clark going for over 40 as Iowa beats LSU and makes it to another Final Four. It's almost become... for some reason it's gone past just basketball. It's almost like it's two different cultures. You have to be in the one culture or the other culture, and it became more political than everything. Which
that LA Times article,
I didn't understand it at all. It's a basketball game between two really, really good players. And one of my favorite things was before the game, someone took a great picture of Angel Reese sitting on the bench with a crown next to her on the bench, and it's a shot of Caitlin Clark practicing free throws in the background. Like, how great of an image is that? And we need those kinds of things, not just with sports, but with college basketball in general. Like, we feed on those kinds of Magic Bird kind of matchups and battles. But why does it... I don't know why it has to be a white person versus a black person all the time. Why can't it just be two great players going at it?
First of all, high five to the ladies. That Elite Eight was awesome. All 4 games.
Paige Beckers and UConn beating USC was amazing,
so much fun to watch.
Yes.
So I am so pumped that the women's game is getting so much publicity right now. So much fun to watch. We were at a bar watching the Iowa game, and
the shots that Caitlin Clark were hitting.
Well, so apparently it was an Iowa bar. We didn't know. We just went. I was in Florida. The place was going crazy the entire time. So it was a cool environment down in the good old Villages, Florida. So we can get to the kind of that one-on-one, but I do think it's like a Magic Bird thing, which would be awesome if they carry it to the WNBA.
I think they will, yeah.
And as ESPN is doing such a good job pushing the WNBA and women's college basketball, that's what they need. I mean, I'm sure what we're seeing right now, to some people doesn't resonate, but I mean, 1979, people have said the same thing about college basketball in the NBA, so maybe they've just been waiting for some type of a rivalry to really kick up, and Caitlin Clark's just... I have no words. She's
no words to describe
the greatest women's basketball player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I agree.
And she's going to be here soon.
She's going to be in Indiana, baby, as long as she doesn't take the $5 million from the Big Three.
Which, that'd be the most Indiana thing ever, right?
Indiana, yes.
Which I will say she should not.
I agree. I think for her profile and her stardom, go to the WNBA, get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add. It was an awesome game. It was a lot of fun. It was a win for women's basketball, except Haley Van Lith. She was burnt. I don't know why Kim Mulkey didn't adjust anything at all. Which, by the way, why
didn't Flau'jae Johnson guard Caitlin Clark? I don't understand that. Explain that to me.
By the way, Kim Mulkey, real quick. I know I'm glad we have a Kim Mulkey. We need more polarizing coaches in college athletics. It's the best. So shout Kim Mulkey. Thanks for being a part of the sports. But
yes.
It was great all around.
Thanks for letting us hate you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I almost kind of like her because she's just so ridiculous. Her outfits are insane on the sidelines. She was
inspired by leprechauns in last night's outfit, wearing the all green.
But yeah, 41, 12, and 8. So it was just insane.
Crazy.
It's funny you say it because my mom during the game asked, "Is green one of LSU's colors? Why is she wearing that?"
And by the way, speaking of women's basketball, we should mention. Kind of funny, kind of sad. I thought it was hilarious. The 3-point line fiasco in Portland is insane. So shout out to Portland, Oregon for doing that.
Oh, great job, Portland.
Dame time.
Great work. All right, let's switch gears real quick. Coaching news and transfer portal here. Did you get your lock, by the way?
Yeah.
I was kidding. I'm just making fun of you at this point. Let's talk real quick coaching news. Steve Lutz is to Oklahoma State. Former Purdue assistant, was at Western Kentucky this past year. Going to get a chance to take on a big D1 program. I think... if you're an Oklahoma State fan, you should be pumped and excited for the kind of brand of basketball that he's bringing there.
Can I say that's kind of a sneaky hard job all of a sudden now. It's kind of in no man's land.
How good Oklahoma is, and the Big 12 being tough.
And then everyone's kind of leave. It's more a football school. The Big 12 changing.
Yeah, Stillwater is very football.
Yeah,
now.
I just think it's a very tough job. So hey, shout your boy though, Robby.
I agree. Andy Enfield now to SMU. Very odd hire, but I think that was kind of a Shaka Smart going from Texas to Marquette. It was the door's open, you need to take it because we don't want you back. So I think it was kind of like a, hey, we're not firing you, but we are firing you. Go find another job. And now Eric Musselman is interviewing at USC.
I saw that.
How crazy is that? With everything that went down this past year at Arkansas, Eric Musselman trying to get a ticket out to LA. Woo!
Yeah, by the way, shout out Andy Enfield. It really is like the George Costanza, you dump her before she dumps you. The classic move, so shout to that. But again, SMU is a very intriguing job all of a sudden now, with it being the ACC and it's in Dallas, Texas. So again, it could work out like a different Shaka at Marquette.
Money is all over. You can do whatever you want with NIL.
Yeah, ask Eric Dickerson about that.
Eric Dickerson and Craig James, you can check up with them in the Pony Excess. So very intrigued by those coaching news. Riley Kugel, Zeke Mayo.
No, real quick, you've been on that.
Kansas?
Someone's going to take the SMU job. You've been saying that for a little bit now.
Yeah. We stayed on that. We were pretty confident seeing that.
A lot of money down there.
Riley Kugel, Zeke Mayo, both going to Kansas. That now we're on transfer portal. Riley Kugel transferring from Florida. Zeke Mayo from South Dakota State. I think those are two really good, actually, pickups for Kansas. I think that's kind of what they need.
And KJ Adams announced he's coming back to Kansas State too. So
I'm fascinated how they're going to be without Hunter Dickinson because they did so much with him, and now you kind of have to flip over and change everything.
Can I throw one in? That was a rumor. I don't even know if he texted about this. Adu Thiero. There was a rumor that he was transferring. So apparently he's just putting his name in the draft.
He is transferring, yes. So
that's not what we...
He put all his options available. Draft, transfer, back to Kentucky.
He is in the portal. From what I understand, he's in the portal. Now, just because you're in the portal doesn't mean you can't come back.
Of course.
Hugo did that last year.
Okay. Last I heard is he wanted to test the waters, like we said, with Wagner. Was kind of what he was going to do, but most likely it would be surprising if he left Kentucky. That's just what I've heard.
I'll be honest. If you are a mid-range, mid-level kind of player, if there was ever a draft for you to try to get into, it's this one. With how poor this class is, like you could have an opportunity to be a top 20 pick if you didn't do very well this year in college basketball.
And just someone has to see the potential, see the athleticism.
And all it takes is one team.
Yep. And then develop them a jump shot.
Toronto, you go ahead and draft Zach Edey.
Which, by the way, Dusty wouldn't just get that Sweet 16 update like Adu going to the transfer portal. Like, I can't believe this is happening. We should be getting ready for a game tonight, and Thero's in the transfer portal.
Let's give you 4 more names.
I hate this so much.
Michi Johnson going back to Ohio State. Wow. Bronny James reportedly in the portal.
Yeah, so where
could be going to Ohio State. Dick Weiss, I think, from USA Today was the one who. Dick Weiss.
Gotcha. Just make sure.
Was the one who tweeted that. So confirm that for me, but I believe I saw that. Kirk Reese's on to his third team. Good gosh.
Look at this tweet real quick. It says Bronny James has a chance to do the funniest thing ever, and it said the decision.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That's funny. And then the last one, KD Johnson. I don't think anyone wants KD Johnson. I don't think anyone wants Kirk Reese, but somehow both of them are in the portal. And they may have good places.
As much as I can't stand him, I would take KD Johnson.
I would take KD over Kirk Reese.
Well, I would take KD if he understands like you're going to be a role player coming off the bench.
He will not understand that. I'll answer that for you right now.
No, he will not understand.
That's fair.
He will not understand.
It'd be a long talk.
Does Tommy Lloyd bring Kirk Reese back to Arizona?
I'm so sick of Arizona talk.
Oh, you and me both. I can't. I'm tired of Arizona.
I think
are they going to the Big Ten? Where the hell are they in now? Big 12?
Big 12.
They're going to the Big 12, yeah.
I think the arrow is just pointing so down on Kirk Reese, I'd be shocked.
He's going to end up
you remind you of, Robby? Andre Curbelo. Where it started off so good.
You know where Curbelo was this past year?
Yeah.
The University of Southern Mississippi.
Shout out Kelly.
Shout out to my wife, Kelly. That's her alma mater.
That's a great comparison.
Yeah.
He was so good as a freshman.
So watch Kirk Reese go to Iowa. Just that would be like or Missouri.
I need him and Fran McCaffrey. I'm in for that.
Oh, that would be. Oh my God.
He's like, Caitlin Clark's gone. My turn. This is my campus now.
FranCon 50, if that happens.
I was 24 hours ago when I found out that McCaffrey's son is dating Caitlin Clark.
That's right.
I did not know that.
He is.
Really?
And works for the Pacers.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Connor McCaffrey works for the Pacers?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Apparently he's like I don't know if he's the video coordinator, but does something in the back office.
I didn't know.
What does he do in the back office?
It does say it does.
Caitlin.
Oh my gosh. It does. Yeah, he does work in Indianapolis, so I did not know that. Okay, cool. Didn't know he worked for the Pacers. Good for him. That's awesome. But yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
go Pacers.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Before we say anything else that could ruin us for the rest of our lives, we're going to wrap it up here on the D1 and Done pod. So part of the reason why we're wrapping this up until we have our final episode of the season, I want to, and my wife wants to, enjoy the trip to the Final Four. So as of right now, we will not have another podcast until after the national championship, unless Purdue is playing in it. We may have a Monday emergency pod to kind of get all of our thoughts together. But just to let you know, this is going to be the Final Four pod that kind of gets us there and gets us ready for the Final Four, and we hope you enjoy it.
Should we give all our predictions in, not just our Final Four? And
who's going to win the national championship then?
I've said my piece.
Yeah, you said Purdue.
I've been awful.
booty.
My locks have just been not locks all year, so I'm going to pick UConn, and hopefully
That's what I'm talking about, Nick.
That it's the stop was an unmovable object versus
the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Yep.
Nick's Jinx versus UConn. What prevails? So Husky on.
And I have faded Purdue at many moments this year, and they have continued to prove me wrong. Now, I did pick them to my Final Four in my bracket, but I'm going to go ahead and say UConn wins back-to-back and wins the national championship.
But and at the same time, the first ladies of the pod, we're not here in person today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they're sticking with Purdue.
They are sticking with Purdue as far as I know.
I heard Haley likes Alabama in this one.
I do.
Well, she doesn't like them anymore because Alabama beat the cute... Oh, it's a cute paw logo. I love that she said that. That was
The
great.
Paul.
The paw. All right.
I'll tell you what I did, Paul.
All right. That does it for this episode of the D1.
No. I have one final thing for you.
One final thing.
We've talked about this. I've texted this to you. Again, I've been to 7 Final Fours. Nick and I have both been to Final Fours.
Been to 7?
I had
I've
to
been
count.
I've been to 2 women's Final Fours.
I've been to 3. I've seen Duke win twice and UNC once.
That's
I've seen
unfortunate.
Duke win twice as well. It's miserable. But you and I have both been to men's Final Fours outside of Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you said you and Kelly want to enjoy the experience. You're going to have so much fun.
We're very excited.
If the heartbreak happens,
that's okay.
Give it a few hours.
Yeah.
Go have a beverage. Move on. Enjoy this amazing ride that Purdue's been on, and it's going to continue with their team coming in next year.
Right.
But I'm so excited for you.
Thank
and all
you.
of my other Purdue fans.
And again,
I'm so pumped for you guys.
For us to start this podcast this year and for this to happen,
It's
what
incredible.
are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds that this all happens? So, and again, thank you to all of you for listening. We surpassed 1,000 total downloads across all of our podcasts, which is it may seem very small, but it is a big deal to us. So thank you for making us part of your day. We appreciate you tuning into this episode of the D1 and Done Pod. For Nick Mills, Dusty Mills, I'm Robby Donahoe. We'll talk to you maybe National Championship Monday or after the National Championship, and maybe, just maybe, Purdue is holding that trophy at the end of this whole thing with confetti coming down. See what happens. We hope you enjoyed the Final Four. We'll see you next time.